In our society, people base their idea of a family around a mother, a father, and their children. Many people feel that gays and lesbians should not be allowed to adopt children because they will be missing the father and mother aspect. However, many children today grow up with a missing parent due to death, war, and divorce. Does this mean that these children should be taken away from their homes? Of course not. Today, I will be discussing gay and lesbian rights and the reasons why they should be allowed to marry. I will give legal reasons as well as religious reasons, and how the gay rights movement can be compared to the civil rights movement, though in a more subtle way. No other country puts as much emphasis on freedom than America. In a place that is considered land of the free, gays and lesbians should be given the same rights that others are given. In our society, liberty is something that is taken for granted. Does our society have a vote in what we eat for dinner, what we wear each day, what we spend our money on? No, because these are individual liberties, not collective liberty issues. Whether a person is gay, lesbian, bisexual, or straight, that is their choice, and our opinions should not matter in whether they should be allowed to marry or not. Now that I've discussed the legal reasons why the lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender community should be allowed to marry, I will go into the religious aspects. Many religious groups feel that gays and lesbians should not be allowed to marry because it is sacrilegious and that homosexuality is not an alternative lifestyle, but rather a sinful lifestyle. However, Jesus died on the cross so that we may be forgiven for all of our sins. So if one were to look at homosexuality as a sin, its consequences are the same as in any other sin in the afterlife. This is taken from Got Questions, the Bible Has Answers website. Although Jesus said that lust and adultery are both sins, that do not mean that they are equal. It is much worse to actually murder a person than to simply hate them, even though they are both sins in God's eyes. There are degrees to sin. Some sins are worse than others. At the same time, in regards to both eternal consequences and salvation, all sins are the same. All sin, no matter how small, is against an infinite and eternal God. In the same sense, there is no sin too big that God cannot forgive. Jesus died to pay the penalty for all of our sins. Not many churches even allow the lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender community into their congregation. Out of all Christian denominations, the only ones that treat them equally are the Metropolitan Community Church, Reformed Catholic Church, Unitarian Universalist, and the Unity School of Christianity, which I got from the website religionandgays.org. The churches that do not feel that homosexuals should marry do not have to change their views, and that is not what I'm saying at all. They just have to realize that other churches accept these people, and if they can find a church that accepts them and will perform the marriage ceremonies, why do we have a say in what they can and cannot do? Now we'll discuss the gay rights movement how it can be compared to the civil rights movement. In comparing the civil rights movement to the gay rights movement, I do not consider them equal at all. The purpose of the civil rights movement was to abolish racial discrimination against African Americans, but was also about fundamental issues of freedom, respect, dignity, economic, and social equality. The lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender community aims to end their discrimination, but in a way will be a lot harder because a lot of people in this country are homophobic. They want to be treated equally and with respect. In Los Angeles Sentinel article, an African American woman that wanted to remain anonymous states, "I pay my taxes and deserve the same rights as any straight couple. Who wants to call their spouse domestic partner? It sounds like a business partner, not the love of your life." How can we say we live in a free country when people are still being treated this way? How can we let our homophobia get in the way of basic human rights in this country? The various religious groups that have held their views on homosexuality should not feel that they have to change. Some churches will perform the marriage ceremonies and some will not. But the state and the voters should have absolutely no say in whether or not homosexuals can or cannot marry. That is an individual decision, and our opinions, fear, or disgust should not stop them from being able to enjoy the freedom of this country. Thank you.
What is it? Okay, Warren, we've got an okay opening, although I think you could use something a little bit more involving that'll bring us in and create some emotional resonance for the subject. Your claim is very clear and specific. You've got an interesting distinction on collective liberties. I'm not sure if this is a legal argument or not, and if it is, I think there needs to be some explanation of it, because it's a potentially interesting argument, and it might go the opposite direction of what you were talking about. It could raise some other issues. For instance, are families or is marriage a collective issue in itself? I think you need more of a preview of what's going on in the main body of the speech. At the end of the speech, there's a little bit of a summary, and you've got an okay exit line. The body of the speech, basically, it's a refutation of religious arguments against homosexual marriage or gay rights, without much of a discussion of what the other ramifications are. And although there are arguments from religious groups about allowing homosexual marriage, I don't think that the dominant arguments that I hear are usually based in the notion of sin. So discussing sin, it addresses some of the reservations that some people might have, but I'm not sure it addresses most of the reasons that people argue about this particular point. The analogy to civil rights, I think, is okay, but it needs to be developed a little bit more. There are some things in it that I think are not explained as clearly as they could be. You have a nice quote there from at the end about why, you know, it's kind of a summary of the position. You know, why should I describe my partner as my domestic partner? It sounds like a business relationship. Well, you know, that's a good question. Is marriage based on emotional issues, or is marriage based on legal and financial relationships? And it seems to me that it's based on both. The question that you're talking about are the legal and financial issues. They need to be resolved, because that's where the prohibition exists. And I think you yourself pointed out that there are a number of churches that are open and accepting of homosexuals. And when you suggest that people can't marry in those churches, I mean, you can get married in those churches. I've been to weddings, gay marriages in churches. Now, they don't have legal standing, and that's the issue that I think you're talking about, and that's why I think that issue needs to be developed a little bit more. On your delivery, you project pretty well. You're still a little script dependent, but you look up at us quite a bit. It's only a 4-minute and 11-second speech, so there's a substantial amount of time that was available for you to do more with this presentation. Thank you. Thank you. Well, you're more